If you put your car in reverse and you see this symbol here, it means one of your lights is out, and one of the common lights to fail is a number plate light, or one of the brake lights. So we're just going to show you how to replace those light bulbs and where to get them from. The most common bulbs to go is the number plate light, and there's two of them, one here and one here that you can see is missing altogether, which is why we're getting that light bulb error. And we're going to try and replace them, not with the lights that are in there, but with LED lights. Have just arrived from China. They were ordered on the 22nd of February. Obviously, with everything that's going on in the world at the moment, they've taken a bit longer to come. We bought these from Amazon and they cost £4.25. We'll leave a link to where you can get them from. So let's just see if they fit and if they work, if they stop that error. These are the lights here. The mark through the right and left. So let's see if we can get those in and see if they work. Fortunately, with this particular screw, it's completely rounded, so it's not possible to undo it with a screwdriver. So we're going to get a set of small mole grips to see if we can undo it that way. To get these screws out here, we're going to have to drill them out, and in order to do that, we're going to have to take this piece here out. Then to take that piece out, you basically got to take the boot lining out here, and we're going to start off by removing this side here and taking these two fittings out with a Allen key. They'll just come straight out. When you've done that, there's another fitting up here just underneath the handle, and that, I believe, is a star screwdriver fitting. Don't be tempted to just rip this off once you've taken this out. This is held on by a series of clips around here, but you need to take that screw out. What some people do is they don't realise there's a screw in there. They pull this off and they end up breaking the fiberglass. So we're gonna see if we can take that screw out as well. Three fittings out, you can gently start prising this away. You can see it's held on by clips like this all the way around. You just have to make sure you can get it over here. Once you've got this off, you can have a look at the clips here. You can see quite a few of the little metal springy clips are missing from here. So this has obviously been off before. There's 4 clips along the top, 3 clips down the side. Done that, we're going to disconnect these wires here. There'll be one wire for the central locking, that's this one here, and this one here will be the wire for the power for the actual light. So we're going to carefully disconnect those so we don't run the risk of shorting anything out. Plugs just pull straight out, but you might just need to get a little screwdriver or something under that clip just to very gently lever it up. This plug, which powers the lights, is slightly different. It's got a small clip here, so what you need to do is just get a little pair of mole grips or pliers on the end of it, not pulling by the wires, just pulling by the end of the plug, and that should just slot straight out. That just leaves this, what's probably an earth wire up there, which is held on by a nut. It's just held on by a 10mm socket. There's about 3 nuts along here that holds that whole piece on. So we've loosened them with a 10mm socket. We're just going to carefully take them off without dropping the nuts. Plastic off, and this is held on by special push fittings. Basically in the top you have a push fitting like that spreads this fitting out, so you have to carefully lever this out first with something like a screwdriver, and then we're just using a little pair of pliers just to equal pressure lever that out. Work. First of all, this bit clamps in first, and then this bit that slides into it spreads that fitting and stops it coming out. So you need to take the top fitting out first and then lever that fitting out. There's fittings on there, and once you've got those 3 fittings off, this piece comes on and reveals that last hidden little nut there. Bolts out. You see that this fitting is now loose. What we have to do now is disconnect the cable, boot lock cable. To take the cable out, it's got a little catch just here that you may need to lift up. Now this lock is actually only held on by that one bolt in there, and eventually if you screw it and twist it around, you should be able to get it out. But I'm going to show you, once we've taken the other piece out, how that actually attaches in there. Out, it's probably easier to take the number plate off. On this car, it's just held on by 2 screws. Once you've done that, you should be able to take this whole piece out like so. Now, the way to get this lock out is you have to twist it 45 degrees, because there's a catch at the top here. When you twist the whole lock 45 degrees like that, you see that catch there? That basically unlocks the lock, and it should just push out. Then you may have to tap it through the socket. So that's really important, that you have to twist that 45 degrees anti-clockwise to get the lock out. Your key doesn't turn. You put the key in and it's impossible to turn, and you feel like you're going to snap the key if you try and force it. Try putting a round socket over there that doesn't touch the edge, just touches the lock, and then bashing it a few times with a hammer. What I found was that actually freed up the lock. We've got this piece out, we can clean it up and also attempt to drill out these 2 screws. Just add in the new number plate lights. We'll clean up those connections as well. These out, starting with a 2mm, and then we're going to step it up to 2.5mm. Pilot hole. Next, you just need to clean up all these edges here. Make sure that the light sits in there flush. And lastly, we're just going to clean up those contacts with a little bit of emery paper. When you come to fit these lights, there is a lip just here that has to click into a hole just here for it to sit flush. So you're going to put this side of the light with the lip in first and hook it under, and then you're going to screw that down. So we've drilled a pilot hole here, 1.5mm, and then up to 2mm, and we're just going to put a little screw in there. If you've got that in properly, it'll sit almost flush. Okay, we've got both lights in. It's just a matter now of getting this piece back in. If we were restoring this car, we would sand that down and respray it black. But it's not a part that you'll ever see, so we're not going to bother with that. Bring this back together is just a reverse of taking it apart. The first thing we're going to do is put this in and then put on the 4 10mm nuts. When you put this back together, first put this in without the lock and make sure that the number plate lights wire plug comes in through this side and you don't accidentally put it in through that side. Find that after you've put all of these lights in, you turn on the lights and they don't work. What you do is disconnect the power to the number plate lights, and we're going to check the power actually coming out of here using just a safety pin and a little paper clip. And I'm just testing the voltage on the brown and the blue wire. We're getting about 13 volts across here. Okay, so when I hold a light across there, like so, you can see that that lights up, okay? So we have 2 lights working now. So if you have the problem that you fitted the lights and they're just not working for some reason, before you start disconnecting the battery and doing all that kind of crazy stuff, take the boot liner off and pull out this plug here and just trace the blue wire and the brown wire and stick a safety pin and a paper clip in those 2 pins and hold the bulb across those 2 pins, and basically the action of that bulb lighting up and putting current through here somehow tells the ECU to put power to the bulbs. What was happening before here was that you could test that there was a 12 volt voltage across here, but when you put a bulb in, it didn't work, and the reason for that is high resistance. So the voltmeter has barely any resistance at all. So for example, if you're holding a voltmeter across here and it's reading 12 volts, and then you put a bulb in here, you will see that that 12 volts drops to 0 there, and that's because there's high resistance somewhere. either corroded connections or something like that. In this particular case, it's just a matter of fooling the ECU, which you can do, as I say, by holding a bulb across the two positive terminals there. And if it lights up, you should find, when you put your bulbs in, provided your terminals are touching and they're nice and clean on the other side, that it lights up. Final test. Turn the engine on. No annoying beep. Turn the lights on. Turn the side lights on. Whoops, I can't turn the side lights. Turn the side lights on. No annoying beeps. The error has gone. In the next video, I think I'll be showing you how to get rid of that service light and also how to reprogram the key fob in case you've disconnected the battery and you find that your key fob no longer works.